കടകം കടകം ഒഴിവ് കടകത്തിലൊഴിവ് പിന്നെ അശോകനും.
Do you know that there are more than 4,000 religions in this world? Some studies suggest the number to be even up to 10,000. And what comes to your mind when we say religion? A god or many gods, right? Wait, do you know that Buddhism, the fourth largest religion in terms of head count, do not believe in a creator god? Do you also know that some thoughts in Hindu philosophy also includes non-theism? Hello everyone, this is Binu Ashogan again back with our third episode of faith-kalari podcast. This time I am teaching you a kalari trick. Please watch out for that towards the end. Last time we talked about beliefs held by all of us, including the layman like me, or scientists, celebrities, or even atheists. We also talked on why we need to form our faith. And I also promised that we would be discussing atheism and theism in the upcoming kalari episodes. Though I started today's session talking about religion, if you are anticipating a discussion on comparative religions and some controversies, I have to disappoint you. Why? Because as I said in the beginning, religions can be non-theistic and even atheistic. And our discussion at hand is supposed to be theism and atheism and not any particular religion. Broadly speaking, atheists can be categorized into three groups. Non-religious, who are not affiliated to any recognized religion. And we have non-believers who do not believe in God. And finally, agnostics who do not commit to any belief for or against God. Some philosophers have also distinguished between positive atheism and negative atheism. Positive atheism is an explicit affirmation that gods do not exist. And negative atheism includes all other forms of non-theism. Then we have Richard Dawkin, a leading contemporary atheist, who tends to divide people into buckets along the spectrum of theistic probability. Here we have strong theist who 100% believes in that God exists. Similarly, on the other side, we have strong atheist who is attributing 0% probability for the existence of God. Then we have completely impartial, exactly on the middle, which is 50%. And little above 50% we have people leaning towards theism, and below 50% we have people leaning towards atheism. And there is another category who are close to this 0 and 100%, like de facto theist, who attribute very high probability for the existence of God, and they live as if God exists. And on the other side we have de facto atheists with very low probability of the existence of God, and they live as if God does not exist, but they are not 100% sure. Agnosticism is a view that the truth value of the claims about the existence of God and anything supernatural is either unknown or unknowable. Apatheism is an attitude of apathy towards the existence or non-existence of God or gods. It is more of an attitude rather than a belief or a claim. We have Agnosticism or Igtheism that holds that the definition of God itself is not clearly defined, and any discussion about this is meaningless. Freethought is a viewpoint which holds that belief should not be formed based on authority, tradition, revelation, or dogma, and should instead be reached by other methods such as logic, reason, and empirical observation. Now let's move to various forms of theism. In the classical theism, God is characterized as a metaphysically ultimate being, which means he is the first, timeless, absolutely simple, sovereign being, and who is devoid of any human-like qualities. Deism is the belief in the existence of God solely based on rational thought, without any reliance of revealed religions or religious authority. This God is often, but not necessarily, a God who does not intervene in the universe after creating it. Polytheism holds that there are many gods, and monotheism argues that there is only one God. Then we have pantheism, where God and the universe are considered to be the same. And in the similar term, panentheism, or all in God, is a belief that the divine intersects every part of the universe and also extends beyond space and time. My goal was not to focus on distinctions and categories, but just to give you a quick landscape. You don't need to know all these categories, but it can be helpful to see which category you belong to at present. Now, during the course of our discussions, I'm sure that we will get exposed to many of these various positions, and there will be a possibility that we switch from one category to another, depending on how much convincing the positions held by each category is. For example, you might move from apatheism to deism and then to theism, or maybe from agnosticism to strong atheism and so on. But from a truth-seeking point of view, the most crucial question is, does God exist? If it does not exist, many other follow-up questions are irrelevant, like whether God is perfect, all good, all powerful, all knowing, and so on. Same way, the questions regarding morality, purpose, and meaning of life flowing from a God are pointless. Let me reiterate, if God does not exist, then statements like God is perfect and God is imperfect, both are false. So there are follow-up questions, but each of them is relevant only if the previous questions are answered as yes. Let me give you an indicative set of questions in a logical order. Here we go. Does God exist? We already discussed it. Second, can we know Him? At this stage, it is more of a high-level knowledge than a personal knowledge. Third one, is He interested in us? Otherwise, why should we bother? Fourth one, did He ever reveal Himself to mankind? The religions and all other attempts by man to seek God comes here. Fifth, is there any way to verify whether this so-called revelation is not a human invention? Is there any revelation where God takes the initiative? That's the point. Sixth one, is He good and worth knowing? That is, if He is not good, then knowledge would be just to avoid His wrath, nothing else. Seventh, can we know Him personally, His will, and His expectations from me? Here the knowledge becomes more personal and oriented towards a relationship. Does He want to have a relationship with us? If not, then all the attempts are, not worth our time. Ninth one, is it worth following Him or to have a committed relationship? Now, people who ever got married know what I'm talking about. Does He train? 10th one, does He train us to build this committed relationship with Him? That's it. So if we are taking the right steps in this inquiry, I'm sure that we will make progress. And I deliberately do not plan to address all the questions at one go. I hope to discuss the arguments for the existence of God first in the next few Kalari sessions, because we already discussed that is the most crucial question. Now, while navigating through these questions, I'm sure that we will have to consider various belief systems which claim to have answers to these questions. For illustration, I am using the pronoun He for God. Now, is it right? We don't know yet, and you don't have to agree to it. For now, let's continue the way it is, and we'll change it if we reach a different conclusion, maybe to they or she or it. Kalari students are given training on tricks which are called adavu. As our first Kalari adavu, let me introduce a very common tool that philosophers use to present logical arguments. They call it syllogism, which has a three-part structure. One is major premise, two minor premise, and three conclusion. I'll give you an example of a valid syllogism. Now, the major premise is all numbers greater than 0 are positive. This is a universal rule agreed by all. Now, a minor premise, 5 is a number greater than 0. This is a particular rule. and the conclusion is hence 5 is a positive number. Now here is another example of a syllogism. No negative number is greater than 0. And minor premise, some numbers are greater than 0. And the conclusion is hence some numbers are not negative. Now I will give you an example of an invalid argument. The major premise, some whole numbers are positive. Minor premise, some positive numbers have fractional part. And the third, the conclusion is hence some whole numbers have fractional part, which is self-evident. It is not true. It's a wrong syllogism. It's invalid syllogism. It is said that there are 256 distinct types of syllogisms, out of which only 24 are valid types. So we need to be very careful about how to use these in defining our own arguments or when analyzing the arguments put forward by anyone. So that's your first adavu or trick that you can read more about and practice. You can also read about deductive arguments and inductive arguments as a homework. Now, is it possible to prove anything related to God? What tools should we be familiar with? Can we use scientific methods in this inquiry? I'm sure that a genuine seeker is bombarded with a lot of questions. But wait, what if we deal with one question at a time and move step by step? Are you with me on this? Perhaps we will be able to make some headway. I deliberately did not address all the questions. I hope to do this in the upcoming Kalaris, where we discuss arguments of the existence of God first and later on move on to the other topics. I mentioned earlier that the key question to be answered first is whether God exists. Therefore, the key contenders, I believe, from atheism and theism camps are respectively naturalism and the belief in a creator God. Why? These are the most prominent views represented in most of the debates that we see in the internet. Now, if that's the case, I thought this could be the first set of views that you should also consider. If you do not belong to either of these groups, hold on. I will try to cover the other worldviews later based on the comments and feedbacks that I will be getting. So do like, comment and share and subscribe and enjoy learning. I also recommend you to watch this with your family or with your friends, and learn together as a group. If you do that, it would be more effective for you. It might reduce the number of views and likes that this video might get, but I sincerely don't mind that if it makes your learning more fun. So have fun, enjoy life, and God bless you.